This is Scott McLennan, the Executive Director of the Mountain Fund. I want to welcome you to our home. Thank you for coming to volunteer with us in Nepal. We've put together this little orientation video to try and get you up to speed and familiar with Nepal and how things work here and what you need to know as a volunteer, and get you there as quickly as possible. Mountain Volunteer is a program of the Mountain Fund. We are a real nonprofit, sometimes called NGO, organization working in Nepal. During your time here as a volunteer, you'll be part of our ongoing work in Nepal, no matter where you're volunteering. Our primary work in Nepal is the empowerment of women, employment of women, and education of women. That's true both at her farm and in our Kathmandu area home. The women you will be working alongside of here every day are the project we're doing in Nepal. Working to be your hosts is a part of their training and education. As a volunteer, you play a very important role in our work. You're a role model to all the women here. Keep that in mind always. Everything you say and do, that you're teaching good habits or bad habits, being a positive role model or a negative one. Please teach good habits. Please be a positive role model. I want to introduce you now to a short video that'll show you some of our past volunteer projects and what people have done here in Nepal. Most of what you just saw took place out at our flagship project called Her Farm. Now, even if you're here to volunteer at the local hospital in the pre-med program, you're welcome to go visit our farm anytime. Just talk to the girls here and they can help arrange that for you. This next slide, I think, is the most important slide in this whole orientation, and so I'm going to ask that you pay particular attention to it. How to be the best volunteer ever. Sometimes we come from the developed world with our own ideas and we look at how things are done here and we say to ourselves, well, why don't they do it this way? Or why don't they do it that way? But not long ago, there was a volunteer having a conversation with a local school principal out in our village. And in that conversation, she asked the principal what he thought about the volunteers at the school and the things they were trying to do at the school. And he thought about that for a moment, and then he said, I'm not really sure. I've never been outside of Nepal. I don't know what these changes would look like. I really don't understand what things are like in your country and in your world. And that's a critical point for you to understand as a volunteer. It's so easy to come here and see how things are being done and think to yourself, well, they should just change this or they should just change that. But when there's no context for that change, when there's no frame of reference, when you're talking to people who have never seen the world outside of Nepal, it's very difficult to convince them that change is going to be better for them. In fact, I'll go a step further with that. In my 12 years of working here, one thing I can tell you is that the risk tolerance among poor people is very, very low. What I mean by that is people here have done things the same way for a long, long time. They may not produce optimum results, but they know that they can expect a certain result, and that certain result is within their financial safety zone. If we ask people, for example, in the village to change their farm practices, for the people that live in the village, how they farm is a matter of do they eat today or do they not eat today? So if I come along from the developed world and say, well, you should plant this instead of planting that, and you would yield more crops. If they've never seen that done, if they've never seen that planting take place, and they've never seen anyone get more crops that way, they're going to be shy, and they're going to be nervous, and they're going to be afraid of change. After all, what they plant is what they're going to eat. And if they change their crops or they change their method of farming, their fear is they're not going to eat. And they don't have a safety net for that. They don't have any way to recover from a failed crop. So when you're volunteering here, I want you to remember that how you're being is really more important than what you're doing. And if you can keep focused on that, you will have a great time here. Don't constantly worry about how people should change or what people should do differently. Take in what they're doing, observe what they're doing, enjoy what they're doing, and learn from what they're doing. Make friends with them, because we'll only take advice from friends and not from strangers. So don't come here as a stranger expecting to change the world. Come here as an interested observer, expecting to learn as much as you teach, and you will leave here happy, I promise you. Let's talk a little bit about the country itself. Nepal has a population of about 29 million, 15% of whom live in the Kathmandu Valley. The other 80%, or more than 80%, live in rural subsistence farming communities. Women are treated especially poorly in Nepal. In fact, the leading cause of death among women of childbearing age is suicide, which accounts for 17% of all deaths in that age group. You really got to let that one sink in. 17% of the deaths in that age group are from taking their own lives. That's the condition of women in Nepal, and that's why the Mountain Fund and the Mountain Volunteer are so invested in women's empowerment programs. Some other things you need to know about Nepal is that we have frequent shortages of petrol, cooking gas, electricity, and water, and these create challenges to everyday life. We're doing our level best to make things comfortable for you here, to provide you with as much power and electricity and water and everything as we can, but there are limitations to what we're able to do based upon the infrastructure of the country itself. Another thing you should pay careful attention to is that political instability can lead to strikes which will virtually shut down Kathmandu and transportation throughout the country. If you're going to plan trips away from Kathmandu to go trekking or visit Chitwan National Park or any of the other wonderful things you can do here, please be sure to arrive back in Kathmandu at least one full day before your flight. That way, if there are any traffic interruptions, you'll have a safety margin to still make it to the airport. The area that you're living in is called Buddha Nilkanta, and this is a nice area in the Kathmandu Valley. It's generally very, very safe, but whenever you go out, if possible, travel with a friend, even to go to nearby shops. People in our area, and this is true of Nepal in general, are traditional and conservative. Please dress conservatively yourself and act politely. No loud noise after 9 p.m., and the house curfew is 9 p.m. Plan to be at home at that time. Nearby our house is Shivapuri National Park. It's just a 10-minute walk away. There's lots of hiking trails, wildlife, birds, plants, and all sorts of things that you can see and visit in the park. There is a fee for foreigners to enter the park. At the time of this recording, it's 500 rupees. These things are subject to change, so be sure and check before you go up there and make sure you have enough money in your pocket to pay the entry fee. This is a map of the park. It's filled with trails that you can hike on, mountain bike on, and explore. It's a beautiful place. It's only a 10-minute walk from the house. Highly encourage you to go over there and give it a visit. We have some rules here at the house, and these rules are designed to protect you and to protect our program as well. Boys and girls, for example, are assigned rooms apart. And please don't visit each other's rooms. If you want to meet and talk, do that down in the dining room or one of the common areas. Conserve water always. Water is an ongoing problem in this country, and part of that is due to the electrical issue. If the power is off, we're not able to pump water up to the tank on the roof. And so if the tank runs dry and the electricity is off, we have to wait for water until we can get power again, pump the water back up to the roof. If the power is off, we have some emergency backup lighting facilities here through a battery system, but it's really not much. So when the power's off, if you really don't need the light on or you really don't need to charge your phone battery or something, please turn it off and let the battery backup system last as long as it possibly can. The sewer systems here in Nepal, for the most part, weren't made to handle toilet paper. Nepali people don't actually use toilet paper. So please put paper products and toilet paper in the trash can in the toilet. If it needs empty, let one of the girls know about it, or just empty it in the trash bin yourself. As a guest in our home, we ask that you please clean up after ourselves, be considerate of others who are living in the house, and if there's something you need, just ask one of the girls. They can help you. Our location in general is at the very top of the map in that red box, Buddha Nilkantha. We're right up against Shivapuri National Park, and maybe 8 kilometers north of Kathmandu proper. There's plenty of transportation to get back and forth to Kathmandu. It's very easy to do, and the girls here will be happy to show you how to do that. Our house in particular is located, as this sign that I made myself shows, from the main choke, they call it, in Buddha Nilkantha. Follow the main road and watch for a sign that says Diplomat Colony. It's a small sign on an electrical pole. It's right across from Buddha Nilkantha School. Come down that road and you'll find a housing development called Comfort Housing, and we're the next road down on the right from there. It's easy to find, and pretty soon you'll be an expert at navigating your way around. You can also get around town very easily by local bus systems. The girls will be happy to show you how to use the bus system. There's large buses, there's microbuses, there's taxi cabs. There's a number of ways that you can get out and explore and have a great adventure in Kathmandu and the surrounding area. When you're at your placement, please keep your agreement to arrive on time and work the hours you've agreed to. Now, for instance, if you're at Helping Hand Hospital, they're very flexible. They will allow you to come at about any time of day and leave at about any time of day. But if you make an agreement with them to say, okay, I'll come at 10 o'clock, please come at 10 o'clock. At the placement, be polite and respectful at all times, dress conservatively and in clean clothes, and ask for help and direction if you're uncertain what you should be doing. Respect and politeness are key aspects of the culture. Shyness is also part of the culture, and that's why you need to ask questions and start conversations at your placement. The natural shyness, combined with respect toward foreigners, inhibits the Nepali ability to directly address you. This is particularly true over at Helping Hands Hospital. If you go to Helping Hands Hospital, you have to take the initiative to approach a doctor and ask them, what are you doing? Can I watch? Can I observe? Can I learn about this? They will stand and wait for you to make the approach to them, because in their culture, it's rude to approach you. Let's hear a little bit from Dr. Gupta Shrestha, the director of Helping Hands Hospital, for those of you who will be working there, a little bit about what you can do and not do at the hospital.
I am Dr. Gupta Bahadur Shrestha, President and CEO of the Helping Hand Community Hospital, Kathmandu, Nepal. We started this hospital 3 years back with some funds from border and this is a 100-bedded general hospital with all specialty. We do neurosurgery, orthopedic surgery, gynae surgery, general surgery, ENT surgery, plastic surgery, hand surgery, and this is the cheapest community hospital in the heart of Kathmandu. And we used to see about 200 to 300 new patients a day. And we're getting about 80% people from the villages and 20% from cities. And um, we do a lot of charity for those non-supporting people. Until date, we did charity and free for about thousands of people. And this will be the good place to the volunteers, especially pre-medical, pre-med, and the Helping Hand Community Hospital and myself try to make a lot of exposure to the pre-medical and medical students. And till date, we got about 200, 150 to 200 volunteers in 3 years' time. Almost all they are happy with the institution and especially with me because I will take care of those friends all the time. Thank you.
If people come here as a volunteer, what, like these pre-meds and med school people, what exactly can they do here? What are they going to learn? What are they going to...
They will see the interesting cases if if they want, especially medical students. They can assist in the theater. They can assist in the operation theater.
Right?
They can take, especially pre-med, if they have interest. They can take some IVs. They can give some IVs. They can take blood samples from the lab if they really want and if they are really eager to learn. That depends on the volunteer, how much they want to learn.
But it sounds like you let them do an awful lot of things here. Many things you allow.
Yeah.
Now, once you get to the hospital, Dr. Gupta or Dr. Arun will discuss things with you in more detail. But you can scrub in and observe surgeries. It's a wonderful opportunity. But again, ask. Ask people for help. Ask if you can see what they're doing. Ask when surgeries are. It's just not within the cultural guidelines for them to come asking you. Let's talk a little bit more about the culture. I'm going to ask that you please do not discuss boyfriends and girlfriends here at our house. This is a women's program, and such matters are considered extremely private in this culture. Don't wear clothing that's revealing. They don't appreciate that here. And by all means, don't use loud or aggressive tone with people or bad words. We also do not allow drinking in our home. Breakfast is usually about 7 o'clock and dinner around 6:30. In the wintertime, typically both are going to be an hour later than that. We serve the meals buffet style, and food will be generally available for about 1 hour after the starting times. Around here, we have several water filtration tanks, and the girls will show you where those are. Please drink water only from those. Tap water is probably okay for brushing teeth as long as you don't swallow it. Laundry consists of a bucket and a clothesline, although there is a place nearby, right across from Park Village on the main road, where they do laundry service for you, and the girls can show you where that's at if you want to take your stuff over and have it laundered. There is a price for that, and it varies by the number of pieces and the type of clothing and so forth and so on. There's nearby shopping where you can find pretty much anything you need for snacks, personal care. Ask one of the girls what you need to shop for, and they'll tell you which shop has it. There's a lot of things to see and do in Kathmandu, including the Monkey Temple, Bodha, Pashupati, Asan Market, where the local shop is one of my personal favorites. The tourist part of town is called Tamil, and if you're craving a Western meal, you'll find it there. Let's take a little look around some of the stuff you can do while you're in Nepal. I hope you enjoyed that little tour around Nepal. Just before that slideshow, I talked a little bit about Tamil, and I want to go back to that for just a second and give you a word of caution about Tamil. A lot of volunteers like to go to Tamil. It's the tourist part of town. Things seem a little more like home. It seems a little more casual, a little more familiar, and sometimes that's helpful with culture shock. But my word of caution on Tamil is that there's lots of street vendors who will come up to you and try to sell you something. And oftentimes what they'll try to sell you is drugs. And you need to be really careful about that. Some of these people are actually working for the police, and you'll find yourself arrested. You're not going to like the inside of a Nepali jail at all, and so please be careful about that. Another word of caution is street beggars. There's a lot of street beggars in Tamil. Most of those people are professional beggars. They've been there for years upon years, and just ignore them. Don't give them any money. Don't talk to them. Just keep walking and mind your own business. Ask questions. We're here to help. Any problems you have, first take to the women who work here. They're in charge. They can manage whatever the issue is. If for some reason you're unable to resolve your issue with them, my email address is listed right there. You can email me if I'm not in the country, and I'll be happy to discuss whatever your needs might be. Don't forget that other volunteers who've been here for a while might be a valuable source of information and assistance to you as well. This is a poor country, and people are desperate. Most are unable to leave, so I want to caution you that you may have people come up to you, even at your placement, and they want to make friends with you. They want your email. They want to know your name on social networking sites. Politely decline these requests and walk away. Lots of people are looking to make friends with you so that they can find a way to escape the country. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be rude to them. Just decline the request and walk away. One behavior that I want to warn you is absolutely guaranteed to get you ejected from our home and our program is to form any kind of romantic relationship with a local boy or girl. I want to repeat that. I guarantee you'll be asked to leave if you break this cardinal rule. Doing so puts our whole program at risk, and it endangers the lives of the women who work here. So please do not do that. Can't stress that strongly enough. Ask questions at any time. The Women of Mountain Fund and Mountain Volunteer can assist you and help solve any problems you may have in Nepal. It's important for us and helpful if you would go to the link shown here, and you can get this link now during the slideshow, or you can get it later on the Mountain Volunteer website. If you go to the top page of our navigation menu, it says Volunteer Hours. Please create an account for yourself and keep track of your hours. Our donors expect us to keep records of the hours volunteered by you, and we greatly appreciate your help in doing that. Should you want to travel while you're here in Nepal, there's lots of great opportunities for you to do so, like Chitwan National Park. The women working here know where to find good guides. They know what hotels to book you in. So please ask them for assistance if you want to travel somewhere. If you're going to go trekking, be aware that some of the treks involve some really high altitudes, and please make sure that you don't exceed your own abilities and get travel insurance before you go. If you don't already have it, there's a link of where you can get it quite reasonably. If you have to be evacuated or taken to a hospital, you really want to have that travel insurance to protect yourself. I want to talk a little bit about Her Farm. You may or may not be going during your stay to Her Farm, but either way, I'd like you to know something about the place. It's a woman-owned and operated farm in rural Nepal. Now, that's really unusual because in this culture, it's not typical at all for women to own farmland, nor is it typical for women to operate a farm. But here in Nepal, that's exactly what we're doing. If you plan to go out there, even just for a short visit, there's a few additional things that I think you should know about. First, it's an hour uphill hike to get to the farm. So you're going to want to pack as light as possible and leave your extra items here at the house. Life in the village is really more traditional than in Kathmandu, and so behave accordingly. Our ability to continue operations at Her Farm and the safety and security of every woman who lives there depends on you being on your best behavior. People in the village don't like loud behavior, they don't like drunkenness, they don't like a lot of things that are a little more typical in our culture than in their culture. And we can operate in that village, and we can stay there, and we can have a woman-owned farm there, but we don't want to push the envelope too far and create a situation where the villagers think that we're no longer welcome living there. Please do not bring candy for the children. We have a hard enough time with their dental needs. And keep in mind that the women at the farm all come from a history of abuse or mental illness, and be sensitive about that fact. Don't raise your voice and don't drink around them. We have education coordinators working at her farm, so if you're going to teach at her farm, it's important that you pay attention to the coordinators we have there. Volunteers tend to come and tend to go, but our coordinators are there giving lessons each and every day, and they're also working with the local school to ensure that the lessons we're giving at the farm, which are in addition to the local school, are somehow coordinated with the local school, and that we aren't teaching kids one thing at school and one thing at the farm. The education at the local school varies with the quality of the teacher, and so it's really important that we try to compensate for the local education and maintain some consistency. Tutoring, in addition to teaching English and other classes, is a valuable thing to offer the kids at the farm. There's been multiple educational studies that have demonstrated that the additional time spent tutoring students is the best way to improve education. Every morning we have what we call the homework club. The kids will show up asking for help with their homework. It might be math, it might be English, it might be social studies. Time spent helping them to learn in that one-on-one setting is really a valuable thing to do. There are some opportunities from time to time to assist at the local school, but I have to tell you that really is fraught with a lot of issues. The quality of the teachers varies widely from class to class. Many of the teachers there are no more than local volunteers who are getting a stipend of pay and volunteering their time there with little or no training in teaching. It's also critical that at all times the teacher in the classroom be respected and seen as the authority. Now, I know from personal experience, sometimes these teachers are going to make mistakes. They're going to cite facts that aren't true. They're going to use English words in a way that's inappropriate or not proper. You're just going to have to grin and bear it. And don't ever do anything that would create a situation where the children see you as reprimanding their teacher in front of the class. If that happens, the teacher will lose all control over the class, and the whole system will break down. It's not a great education system. It's the system we have. We have to learn to live with it, deal with it. So please, if you go to the school to assist, really take care to show deference to the teachers, even if they make a mistake. You can discuss the mistake with them in private later. Now, some of you may not know, but we also have health care at her farm. Not too long ago, we built our own health clinic out there. Those of you who are in medical programs here, you might want to spend some time out there in the rural setting and see what life is like on the front lines of medicine. Most of rural Nepal, people get their initial health care from small government clinics or from private clinics like the one we have. They're not very busy. They don't tend to see a lot of cases in a day, but it might be of real interest to you to go see what health care is like in a village setting. Here's a little bit about that clinic. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this orientation. I hope the information will prove useful and helpful to you. We're totally committed for you having a great time here in Nepal and for you to have the best experience ever of your life. Any questions you have, please ask any of the girls. They'll be happy to help and show you how to get around Nepal and how to navigate the systems here. Um, and I want to tell you that I truly appreciate you taking your time to come here and help us. You're a member of the Mountain Fund staff and a member of the Mountain Fund team now. And so please at all times remember you're representing us and do a good job, have fun, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and welcome back to Nepal anytime in the future that you like. Thank you.